Hey guys, how's it going? Preparing here. So, we've been doing a lot of races. The stream schedule has been fairly erratic because I'm trying to make as many as possible, win as many as possible. But one thing that has gotten a lot of people interested is the strategy behind what we do in the races. Now, obviously, when it's a solo thing, when it's like a 3-hour group thing, we kind of figured out what you gotta do. You gotta do it. Pretty much the main thing that's relevant to anything is execution. How well can you execute the plan that's already known? But this brings into discussion when the plan is not known and when there are more elements to the race. And this kind of thinking is fairly general. It's fairly important as well. And I kind of go along these lines when coming up with any kind of strategy, any kind of game, playing the Diablo 3s, all the good stuff. It's really very similar. So the first thing you have to do when there's some kind of competitive environment, some kind of goal, some kind of world first that people are after, generally you have to plan out what it takes to win. So I can relate it to Path of Exile, for instance. There's a race coming up where there's, I think it's turbo, multiple projectiles, and totems. And it's a 3-hour party race. So in that race, honestly, in my opinion, I think if people kill Vol, they won't have many party members left because in that race, Vol spawns 5 times as many ads, and each of the ads have 5 projectiles. So it's like the whole screen is a massive fuckfest. You can't do anything. But, maybe some people can kill them through some kind of nice, assortment of specs, some kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it's possible. If they do, they'll win. But I think doing so, they'll lose more than half the party. So if you have a starting 6 and you lose like 4, you don't really win. You actually lost to the second team if they still have, all of their dudes alive, because they got 4 demis, your team got 2. So you kind of got to keep that in mind, at least when it comes to Path of Exile. But in the general sense, what it takes to win is something that you have to analyze. In the case where I described, although that would win in that particular race, most likely we thought that like waterfall farming would be best because it's kind of above Western farming. We feel that under the given rule sets, Chamber of Sins and Weavers and whatnot, we think that's doable. And I think farming waterfall or something similar to that is going to lead to the win. If not, it's going to lead to people surviving enough to come in, near the top. And the third level in that kind of sequence would be the Western farming, where you just get to Act 2, straight to Western, farm your heart out, 3 hours, good luck. And it's a kind of interesting structure where people trying the first thing, if they execute it properly, they win. Second, if they execute it properly, they'll win if the ones above it don't. And, that's generally how it works. And you kind of have to analyze these possible scenarios and think which is most likely for your team to achieve and be able to execute. Following that is the execution, exactly. When it comes to knowing what the strategy is, it's already set out there. If you figured it out, you've established that's what it takes. That's what it's going to take to win. Then comes the execution, kind of figuring out the best way to do it. Obviously, this is a large bulk of the stuff as well, but breaking it down in this way is very important because when it comes to future races in Path of Exile, they may be like 2.5-hour races, there may be added rule sets, other kind of stuff that you may or may not understand fully right away, or you may not have experienced yet. Developing some kind of strategy for this is really important. For instance, I believe there was a lethal 1-hour party, and I thought that the group that would win would just farm coves. That's what we did. We managed to do it. We managed to win. So that's the kind of concept that is relevant in these cases. And you can kind of take this to when it comes to like World of Warcraft, people chasing world first. It's like, yeah, you gotta do the world first and all that stuff. But essentially, it's the same thing. You have to understand what it takes to win. It takes a lot of playtime to win a world first in World of Warcraft. So, is your guild capable of committing 16, 17 hours of raid time each day? And 2, how are you going to structure that? Who are you going to bring? What kind of specs do you want? As much as you can establish from the information given is really what it takes to execute the strategy that you have planned. So that's kind of how it works. That's kind of what we've been doing in the Path of Exiles and the racing scene. But it's really interesting stuff that I usually think about when it comes to these competitive environments, these goal-driven scenarios within games. And I just hope you guys can kind of see between the actual gameplay and what actually goes into setting up these structures and kind of realize these things. And I hope to create some kind of thought, because it's something I tend to improve as much as I can. Obviously, when it comes to races, the fundamentals are always going to be, practice, practice, and more practice. But, teamwork, strategy, and execution follow right after. So, don't forget that. Hope you guys enjoy the race as much as I do, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.